And now, back to David Spada and Elliott Harris for more Sports and Torts on TalkZone.com.
This is Elliott Harris, without David Spada today, but with one of the more entertaining NFL or AFL players of all time, former Northwestern standout, Fred the Hammer Williamson.
Went to college in Northwestern in the 50s.
Not only that, but Coach Senior was my coach at Northwestern.
Yeah, a lot of people just remember him from Notre Dame, not from Northwestern, but you were on the team with accomplished broadcaster Irv Cross.
Yeah, Irv and I were good buddies. He was from the area there. He was an Indiana boy. Era and Irv Cross came to Northwestern at the same time and left at the same time. When I left and went to the pros, Era left Northwestern and went to Notre Dame. And when we came to Northwestern hadn't won a game in 27 years.
How did you get from Gary, Indiana to Northwestern?
That's a big jump, dude. I spent part of my life in Gary, Indiana, and part in Chicago. Fortunately, when I left high school, I had good grades. I was a A-, B+ student, so I could get in any college. But I had scholarship offers as a track person. I was a 100-yard dash, 200, and shot put champ, which was a weird combination. So I went to all the schools. I went to all the Big Tens, and I went to all the other schools, visiting the campuses. But the campus I liked the most was Northwestern because it was close to home, and it had a high-rated educational reputation, and I wanted to be an architect. So I went to Northwestern to be an architectural engineer, not to really play football. But one day I was out on the field practicing my freshman year, and Era had heard about this kid who was like 190 pounds who was a sprinter. So he came by and asked me if I'd, play football. And I said, yeah, I play a little football. I said, why don't you change your scholarship? So after some convincing and some perks, I changed my scholarship from track to football.
Well, you didn't play defense at Northwestern. You were on the offensive end, right?
Yeah, I was a flanker back. I was All-American flanker back. I was catching the ball, and I wasn't concerned about hitting people. I was concerned about scoring touchdowns, and I didn't really get into defense until I got drafted by the 49ers. So I went to the 49ers, and the first day of camp, they gave me a red shirt. I said, oh, this is great, man. This means I'm special. This is not, son. If you want to make this team, you're going to have to play defense. I said, man, defense doesn't you know who I am? I said, yeah. You're Fred Williamson, and you're going to have to make this team as a defensive back. I said, I can't cover anybody. Man, I don't know how to run backwards. What is this about? He says, well, that's what you're going to have to do. So the first week, man, I'm looking like I never played the game before. Guys are running patterns on me. I'm falling. I'm tripping on my feet. I can't cover nobody. They make me looking real ridiculous. Red Hickey was the coach. He says, well, sir, Mr. Williamson, you don't look like you're going to make this team. We're very disappointed in you. We thought that you could make this adjustment. So you got a few days to redeem yourself, or we're going to have to cut you. So, I go back to my room tonight, and I said, hey, man, there's no way I can go back to the ghetto, man, and just tell the boys that I got cut. Are you crazy? I'm the baddest kid in the neighborhood. I'm the toughest guy on the block. I can't make this little poot-butt team. Come on. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm like 208 or 10 pounds. And I said, I ain't covering nobody. I'm just going to knock everybody down. That's the best way to cover somebody, is to knock them down. So I came to practice the next day. I got about 2 yards off of R.C. Owens, who was a highly rated pass receiver. And Hickey says, Williamson, good luck. I said, no way, man. I'm not getting back. I'm covering this guy right here. He says, okay, make him look stupid again, like usual. So R.C. made a little fake one step off the line of scrimmage, and I hit him with a forearm and knocked him out. Red Hickey comes running over. He says, damn it, Williamson, what are you doing? I said, I covered him. He said, okay, you got the team made. We just stopped hammering my players so we could get some pass offense in. So that's how I got the name Hammer.
So R.C. Owens wasn't running any alley-oops off against you?
If I backed up, they had a chance to run. But, dude, when I covered a guy, I started out 2 yards in his. I could tell you what he had for breakfast and lunch and dinner the day before. I didn't let him get past me because in those days you could bump a player before the ball was in the air. He was yours because you couldn't tell if he was running a pass or blocking you. So that way you had the right to defend yourself. So you could hit him and bump him and knock him out, do whatever you wanted to do until the ball was in the air. Once the ball was in the air, you couldn't touch him.
Who was the 49ers quarterback during the practice? Was it still Y.A. Tittle?
Y.A. Tittle was the quarterback, and John Brody was the backup.
Who gave you more problems defending, Brody or Tittle?
Well, I could care less about either one of them. This guy in front of me that was trying to catch the ball that I was concerned about. You know, my whole thing was, in order to catch the ball, you got to get past me. You got two jobs. One to get past me, which I wasn't going to let you do, and the other one was to catch the ball, which I wasn't going to let you do. So that's the way I play the game. Beat you up all the way down the field until the ball's in the air, then it was me and you going for the ball. But it was a lot of great guys in it. It was one of those situations where you all of a sudden you're on a team where a lot of people that you're idolizing when you're in college. I mean, I had Y.A. Tittle was there, John Brody was there, Hugh McElhaney was there, R.C. Owens was there, Joe Perry, Leo Nomalini, Bob St. Clair, all these great names that meant something back in the day, and here I am, friends with them, man. I mean, to me, that was the greatest accomplishment, the fact that I was on the team.
We interviewed.
Then I got traded to Pittsburgh. I played the exhibition season. With San Francisco, and after the last game, they traded me to Pittsburgh to make room for Ray Norton, who was an Olympic sprinter, who they were going to thought they could, turn into a very famous wide receiver, but they forgot to find out whether or not he could catch. Couldn't catch nothing. The ball hit him on top of the head, in the mouth, and the face mask. And so after they sent me to Pittsburgh, they cut him. 2 days later, they cut him. They found out he had no hands. He couldn't catch. He was fast. He could outrun everybody, but he couldn't catch.
The 49ers made that mistake again in the 80s with Ronaldo Nehemiah. They thought he could.
They did the same thing. Yeah. They thought they could turn a speed guy into a pass receiver, and it could work if the guy could catch. But neither one could catch because they were more concerned about getting hit because they weren't used to getting hit. They weren't used to the violence of the sport. So now I'm in Pittsburgh, and I got my roommate now is Big Daddy Lipscomb. I got Bobby Lane playing quarterback. Buddy Parker is the coach. Tom the Bomb Tracer. Walt Michael brother. The Michael brothers were playing. I mean, I was exposed to some very great and famous people, man.
Did you ever ask yourself, what the heck am I doing here, or did you feel that you fit in from the beginning?
I ask myself, even today, how did I get here? I mean, the things that I've done, the things that I've experienced, and the places that I've been is a long way from a ghetto boy, let me tell you.
Bob Sinclair, we interviewed a couple of years ago. He was talking about he was eating raw fish. He didn't make you eat that raw fish, did he?
There's no way, man. I didn't eat nothing raw. I mean, when he used to bring out that food, dude, the bottom of the big old pan would be full of blood. Guys eating raw meat like animals, man. No way. They even did that pregame. My pregame meal was 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream. The kind of stuff I see those guys was eating, man, was sickening.
How difficult a choice was it to go from Pittsburgh in the NFL to the Oakland Raiders in the American Football League?
Well, my signing bonus when I was coming out of Northwestern was $1,900. My starting salary was $9,500. So now, when I played one season with Pittsburgh, and I went back to California to get my things to go back for the next season, and I get a call from the American Football League, Al Davis, across the bay. I'm in San Francisco now. He says, we need you over here to bring some excitement and bring some more exciting play over here because, the scores are like basketball scores in the American Football League at that time, man. It was like 55-60. I mean, it was a passing game, which is what the AFL is today. It's a passing game. So I said, well, I think about it. He said, well, look, I'll give you a $500 raise. We'll bump up your salary to $500. I said, what? I can make $10,000? He said, yeah. I ran across the bay. I didn't need no car. I ran across the Bay Bridge and became a Raider the very, very same day.
What was Al Davis like?
Al Davis was a football genius. The guy knew football. He knew people. He knew personnel. He knew how to talk to people. He knew how to motivate you. I mean, he was definitely dedicated to football. He was a football fanatic, football expert. and understood how to manipulate people.
Now, was John Madden with the Raiders then?
No, John Madden came after me. John Madden came after I got traded to Kansas City from the Raiders. I played against Madden. So Al Davis was there the whole time I was there. He was my coach when I was there.
Who was your most difficult guy to cover in the NFL?
Well, I'm the hammer. I can't say that anybody was difficult. The ones I look forward to because it was mano a mano was San Diego Chargers had Bambi, had Lance Allworth, Charlie Hennigan was at Houston. There were a lot of fast guys, and that was great for me, man. I loved the competition. Otherwise, I'd go to sleep out there. The worst guys for me to cover were two players from the Boston Patriots, Cole, Claw, and Capoletti. These guys were like running in mud. They ran in molasses. I knew I could give them a 20-yard head start and beat them to the ball. But every time I look up, they're free. They're waving at the quarterback as they done ran past me because I knew they weren't that dangerous to me. But those were the guys that gave me more trouble because it was hard to stay 100% concentration on him all the time because I knew I could cover him. So I'd look up and he'd be down the field catching a 20-yard pass for me. And I had to go get him and try to make him fumble. But those two guys gave me the most trouble because they were the slowest, and I knew I could cover them if I stayed 100% involved in the game. But that's pretty hard to do when you know that you're better than somebody.
Let's see, George Blandon was the quarterback at Houston back then. He was old even then, right?
Yeah, George Blandon had Charlie Hennigan to throw to. I mean, George Blandon, man, he threw some hard bullets. Big guy could really throw the ball. But he had a great receiver, Charlie Hennigan at that time. I don't know if many people remember all these names, but Hennigan was a tremendous football player, and he and I had battles. There were certain teams that I played that I knew I'd always get an interception because most of the best receivers in pro football are right-handed, so they like to catch on the right side, which means that they came on my side all the time because I was a left defensive cornerback. And most right-handed players like to catch the ball across the middle over their left shoulder. They don't like so much catching outside over the right shoulder. That's the hardest pass for them to catch. So they didn't really throw that much. It was really slant ends or hooks to the inside. That's the right-handed player. So I knew when I played the fast guys, those were the patterns that they favored.
So Hennigan didn't get a lot of his receptions in the 100-catch season against you.
No, nobody had any records against me, dude. I got the records. I mean, there are guys in the Hall of Fame, man, who have 10, 15 less interceptions than me, which is kind of weird. I had 40 interceptions over my career, and there are guys in the Hall of Fame who didn't make all pros as many times as I have, and don't have as many interceptions as I have, but I understand it because I was a controversial player, and when you bring and breed controversy, then people don't vote for you and think they don't like you, but they love to see you play. It's a negative economy that's hard to overcome when people vote for you. It's like being all pro back in the day. Players used to vote for the other players to be all pro. How's somebody going to vote for me and I'm beating you on the head and blanking you out and making you look bad and you're gonna vote for me as the best defensive back? No, that doesn't work.
From the Raiders, you went to Kansas City, and your coach there was Hank Stram. What was he like?
Hank Stram was a great manipulator, but it's hard to be a bad coach when you have, that time you had, I think we had a limit of 42 players and 20 of them were all pros. You got an all pro in every position. Your pep talk is, let's get them. So, Hank was an offensive innovator. He knew how to operate an offense based on the talent that he had. He knew that Lenny Dawson was not a drop-back quarterback because he wasn't tall. And we had linemen that were like 6'6", 6'5", with Jim Hill and Ed Buddy. The guards were 6'6", the tackles were 6'6", and he knew that Lenny couldn't see over these people, so he invented this moving pocket that he called. So Lenny would roll out, and the two guards or the two offensive tackles would roll in the same direction that Lenny would, to keep a pocket in front of Lenny all the time so that he could see downfield, because first of all, he couldn't see over these tall guys, and he was not a good drop-back quarterback, so he created this rolling pocket So he was a good offensive technical coach.
I'll tell you what, those linebackers I think were the best of all time. There with Willie Lanier and Bobby Bell. I mean, you guys were unstoppable.
Well, like I said, we had an all-pro at every position. You had two cornerbacks. You had me. You had Buck Buchanan. You had Jerry Mays. You had Johnny Robinson. You had Dawson. You had Otis Taylor. I mean, we were deep, man, in talent.
So you make it to the Super Bowl, playing the Packers. The first Super Bowl ever then it wasn't even called the Super Bowl. It was the World Championship game or something like that. And you come out with this statement that you're going to knock out Boyd Dowler and Carroll Dale.
Well, I mean, I'm comparing who I'm going to cover against the guys that I cover in the American Football League. And neither one of these guys lived up to the people that I had to cover in the American Football League. So I wasn't concerned about Boyd Dowler or Carroll Dale. And if people look at the film, I put Boyd Dowler out of the game after the second play. He ran a slant in on me. I hit him, and he walked off the field with his shoulder dragging the ground. So I accomplished that, but it turned out to be a mistake because what happened was they put in old man Max McGee, who hadn't played in 5 years and was out drunk all night, comes back and had the best game of his career, not against me, because they didn't want him to be knocked out of the game, so he did not run one pass pattern at me. He went on the other side and beat up on Willie Mitchell, which I don't understand how he could do that because Willie Mitchell is twice as fast as he was, but Willie was intimidated by him. So, when Boyd Dowler made his moves, he ran past Willie Mitchell several times before Willie could get his feet moving because he was intimidated by the fact that here's Max McGee in front of him. And so they never threw at me. They threw one pass at me. I took out Boyd Dowler. And then after that, it wasn't. I just sit there and watch the game until about a minute and a half left to go in the game, and they decided to run a sweep at me, and I said, all right, I'm going to kill somebody now, man. So I went flying up there, and I took out Fuzzy. I took out the first two guards, and I made the tackle on Donnie Anderson, but unfortunately his knee hit me on the top of the head, and I was in la-la land for a few seconds.
Do you think part of the problem was that being an outspoken black athlete in the 60s, the media made you out to be something that you weren't and made people not like you?
Of course, but then that's not history. I mean, anytime you're an innovator and anytime you speak out for something that's against what everybody else is doing, then you're obviously going to draw more attention. Sometimes the attention is negative, sometimes it's positive. If you have a strong enough personality like me, you don't really care which it is. As long as they spell your name right and talk about you, then I can deal with it. So that was something that made me more famous than most defensive backs, because you can go to a game, you ask somebody now who's their favorite team, they could tell you their team. Now, name me the 4 defensive backs on your favorite team. Most people can't do that. They can name the running backs, the quarterbacks, the guy who catches the ball, but they can't name you four defensive backs and then throw them all. Give me the linebackers and the defensive backs. You might get three people right, but after that they'll be stumbling. But when you went to see the Raiders, they went to see Chiefs, there's a guy down there with white shoes. I think they call himself the Hammer. Yeah. So, notoriety is what it's about. If you're doing the job, the notoriety comes, but you can also boost it along a little bit if you know how.
Now, after your career, at what point did you find out you didn't want to be an architect?
I had I was an architect during the whole time I played football. I worked for Bechtel Steel. I was an architect during the off season because back in the day, you really had an off season. It's not like today. These guys don't have an off season. They're now forced to come into a facility and work out and do an unsupervised workout, they call it. But it's necessary and it's a must that you come. If you don't, you get into a negative situation with the team. So back in the day, it was 6 months of football and 6 months was your life. So I worked for Bechtel Steel during off season. Once I stopped playing football and went full-time as an architect, I had a little difficult time going past 6 months. After I got into the 9-month situation, I started looking around because the walls started to close in on me, and I'm saying, wow, I really can't do this for the rest of my life because it's just, the transition is much too difficult. So I looked around for something else to do, and most of the guys back in those days were selling insurance after football. Man, there was nobody made any money, so you had to have an extra job while you played. There were insurance salesmen, there were car salesmen. I said, no, I don't want to do that. One night, I'm watching television, and I see a show called Julia. Diahann Carroll was the first black actress who had her own television series back in the day. And I noticed that each week the guest star was a new boyfriend. So I said, hell, I'm better looking than any of those guys. I'm going to Hollywood and become Diahann Carroll's boyfriend on the Julia show. So that was my motivation, and that was my aim. And it took me 3 days to accomplish that. I got signed to a 3-year deal to play Diahann Carroll's boyfriend on the Julia show.
What was it like kissing Diahann Carroll?
It's the same with all pretty women. It's nice to be around them.
But back then, TV was a lot cleaner. You didn't have like the cable where you would have seen you in bed with Diahann Carroll, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not showing that part anyway, dude. But it was a great experience for me. And luckily, I was sitting in a comedy show one day, and a guy walks by and he says, "You're the Hammer, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, I'm doing a movie. I got a football game in it, and I don't know anything about football. Would you direct all the scenes and put all the football sequences together? So I want the football game to be realistic. And I said, yeah, no doubt. And the movie was MASH. I played Spear Chucker in the movie MASH, which was my first movie.
Why didn't you get a chance to be in the TV series? Did they ask you?
Yeah, I didn't want to be television series, man. That's like a job. That's like playing football again, man. You gotta be there every day. No, for 46 weeks or 22 weeks. No, I didn't want to do that. I want to stay in the movie business. That's what I was going to do. I mean, I could work a month or 2 months on the show and then have my free time.
So you don't want to be Klinger and wear the women's outfits?
I don't want to wear them at any time, man. I mean, you see some of these guys make ugly women, dude. I see Ben Rames made an ugly chick in a movie. Wesley Snipes dressed up. Even Tony Curtis dressed up as a woman. They made some ugly women. I wouldn't go in that route, dude.
Or Martin Lawrence now with Big Mama.
Yeah, no. That's a throwback, man. That's why I started making action movies, to get rid of that image, man. My whole idea of making films was to come into the movies as a hero, as I considered myself. My personality, my character is as a hero, not to come in and do step and fletch and stuff. I don't do comedy. I don't do funny. All I do is fight, take out the bad guy, and make love to the pretty women and ride off in the sunset. That's my job.
How fun is that?
Everything I do is I don't even bother. If it ain't fun, you can't pay me, man. I turn out a lot of roles that are what I believe in, or it's my inch, and not about money. I tell you keep money, but the image is more than me than money.
What is Gary Anna? Two football players, Gary Anna became successful Hollywood actors. You and Elliott Harris. Good drama school there.
No, it's called escapism. Get out as fast as you can, because there's nothing else for you to do here. And if you stay here, you will die of steel dust. So it's about escapism, man. It's about having a drive that people who from big cities don't have, because big city is full of excitement and things to do. You're from a little hole in the ground, man. You see the world out there looks more exciting to you than it does to them, and so your goal becomes greater.
I laugh all the time when they talk about Michael Jackson putting a museum in Gary. He didn't want any part of Gary. As soon as he got out of there, he never wanted to go back.
Yeah, well, that's how most celebrities are if they come from a little town. But, they claim him, and he doesn't have to claim them. They don't really care. They know that he came from there, and so they claim him. The fact that he doesn't reciprocate, nobody cares.
How easy was the transition from actor to director?
It was very easy based on the fact that you got to consider the time period. This is like 1969, and it wasn't cool to be black at that time. It wasn't as cool then as it is now to be black. They were still having riots and sticking dogs on people and being real ugly to black people in public. And so I decided that if I'm going to come into the business, I was going to come in it on my own terms. So the first thing I did after I did MASH was call a press conference and said, I got 3 rules in Hollywood. I'm going to come into Hollywood and I'm going to be an action star. And my 3 rules are: you can't kill me in a movie, I win all my fights in a movie, and I get the girl at the end of the movie if I want her. I knew this was not going to be acceptable to the industry, but I got the attention that I wanted, and I knew that if I was going to have these 3 things happening in my films, I was going to have to produce my own, direct my own, write my own, find the financing for my own, and create my own company. And that's what I did. I created my own company to maintain the image that I wanted to create and sustain if I'm going to be in the industry. Because we needed heroes at that time. We had no black heroes. We had Sidney Poitier, who was a great actor, good actor, but he couldn't fight. He didn't hit nobody. He didn't beat nobody. We had a lot of funny people. Everybody was doing comedy. Comedy was okay, but we needed a broader spectrum. All black people ain't funny. So I was out to show that we could also be marketable as action stars and as heroes.
I would have liked to see a movie with you and Jim Brown where one of you was a good guy, one of you guys was a bad guy, and see who came out as a winner.
We did that in Take a Hard Ride. Did a Western with Lee Van Cleef called Take a Hard Ride. Jim had some money that he was taking someplace, and I was tagging along with him, trying to get it away from him, but at the same time, we worked together to keep the bad guys away from the money, but I said, once we get to where we're going, I'm taking the money. And he said, well, we'll see about that. And that was a pretty good movie. Take a Hard Ride. We shot it in Spain with Lee Van Cleef. And we had a big, long fight along the way.
Who won the fight?
Go see the movie, dog. I don't do movies.
I have to see it now.
It ain't going right.
And then Richard Roundtree comes along with Shaft, which was hugely popular.
Yeah, it was timing. It was not a good movie. It was the timing. The timing was right for that character, for that purpose. What I said, we needed heroes. Isaac Hayes really pushed the movie because the song became more famous than the movie. There are a lot of people who walk around and talk about Shaft who never really saw the movie, but they know the name and they've heard the music, but they don't remember Roundtree. Because every time 50% of the time I'm out, people are calling me Roundtree because I'm what Roundtree is supposed to look like, because I still look like myself, Roundtree, if you walk past him, you wouldn't even know it was him. So people see me and they go, hey, the tree. I said, no, you got it wrong, dude. I'm the Hammer, because I'm still tall, good-looking, handsome. Ain't no gray hair hanging out of my face. Ain't no wrinkles hanging under my chin. It's still intact, okay? So I still look like I should be Roundtree or Williamson or Brown, because I get called all of those names because they don't look like themselves anymore. And I, fortunately, continue to look like me.
No, you still look good. Another guy from the 70s, Billy D. Williams, you look at him now and you go, oh, my God, what happened to him?
That's what you can say about Roundtree. That's what you can say about Brown. Mother Nature deals with people in different ways. I just eat a lot of black jelly beans. They don't.
I'll tell you what, Carl Weathers still looks good, though.
Got no hair. He don't look like Carl Weathers anymore.
Or Sylvester Stallone, you look at him and you go, oh, my God, what happened to him? Too much plastic surgery.
Well, he ate too many white jelly beans. She said that blew him up. My black jelly beans keep me intact, keep me like I was before. He ate too many white jelly beans, man, and it just blew him up. That's all.
What do you think about the NFL today when they're saying that there's too much contact, it's too violent, we got to make it a little easier on the players?
Well, I think that the offense ought to wear yellow flags and the defense ought to wear red flags, so we can have flag football. They wouldn't have to worry about penalties or getting hit too hard or making these dynamic hits on people. So just put flags, yellow for the offense and red for the defense, and then we'll be cool.
It seems nowadays the tackling technique is lead with your head, which leads to all sorts of wonderful injuries. That's not the way you were taught.
Man, that's the way. Listen. When we were taught in grade school, you're taught put your head on the numbers. If a guy's running at you and he's doing all that wiggling and dancing coming at you, put your head on the numbers in his chest and lift him up and drop it. You do that today, you might get suspended, $10,000 fine, and a penalty. So that's how much the game has changed, because that was the tackle technique that was taught.
So do you have any movies in the works right now?
I'm off to Germany next week. I'm doing a action film with Claude Van Damme. got a few bad guys left overseas that I forgot to get, so I'm going back to get them.
So who else is in the movie? Van Damme and you, or you're just gonna produce it?
No, I'm directing it. I'm starring in it with Van Damme, but that's enough people. You know, his popularity in Europe is big, and so is mine. So I work a lot more in Europe than I do here. As a matter of fact, my fan base in Europe is about 10 times bigger than it is in the States.
Why is that?
Well, it's a very simple reason, dude. In America, I'm a black actor, and in Europe, I'm an action star. So once they start pigeonholing you and putting you in certain categories, then your exposure becomes limited. So if I'm in a film, they call it Fred Williamson's latest and newest black film, and they play it in so-called 25 black markets, which include Chicago and New York and Memphis, Tennessee, and Philadelphia, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., these so-called 25 key markets where the black population is the biggest. That's where they release the films. But in Europe, it's different. You know, I'm an action star. I'm not a black action star. I'm a good-looking action star.
Do you need a 41-year-old good-looking attorney to be in your movie?
I always look for people like that to kill. I mean, they go down real fast, and I like that. You know, as long as you don't take too much time, going down, it's a good thing.
I'm available. Ellie, what about you?
Yeah, I'm available.
No. You guys are gonna give me that stuff. No. When I shoot, you just gotta go in the air and down, dude. No sounds, no nothing. Just go.
As long as you pay, I'll go down as quick as you want.
Well, you know the name of my company, dude. The name of my company is Po' Boy. So you might not like to pay.
So you're leaving for Germany next week. How long does it take to shoot a movie from start to finish?
Over there, it'll probably take me 45 days. So over here, it takes less because you have, more experienced people in the States. But over there, it takes about 45 days to get it to popcorn stage.
So it doesn't sound like you're going to slow down anytime soon.
I can't afford to, man. I mean, I got way too much energy. And there's a lot of things I haven't accomplished yet. I don't know what they are, but I have this feeling of restlessness, things that I haven't been able to accomplish because I've been limited, which unfortunately made me a slow starter because I couldn't accomplish the things that I want to because of the racial situation in America. So what I'm doing now, I should have been doing 20 years ago. But, fortunately, as I say, I have all this energy and I still look the same. So somebody is keeping me together for some purpose and for some reason.
The guy who I can't believe is an action star is Tom Cruise. He did all those Mission Impossibles. The guy looks like the kid next door.
Well, Tom Cruise is your hero. There's no way he's a brothers and sisters hero. I guarantee you that. Any dude that's 5'2" walking down the street, you can slap across the street anytime you want. There's no way Tom Cruise could be my hero or any other brother's hero. Forget about it. It's all photography and it's all trick stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Katie Holmes could beat him up on any given day.
Well, Angelina Jolie surely can. and has.
So when is the Fred Williamson story going to come out? In a book or a movie?
No, I know too much. Man. There's no way they let me live through my autobiography. I know too much. I've had too many experiences, man.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, boss.
And I'll send you my resume.
Yeah, and I'll send you a bullet.
Thank you for listening to Sports and Torts on TalkZone.com. Thank you to our guests, Kaya Boone and Fred Williamson. Maybe next time we'll have David Spada in studio, although my preference is for an attractive female if it comes down to the choice of David or the female. Hope you have a great day, night, week, month, year, whatever. Tune in again, Sports and Torts on TalkZone.com.